Again, I'm a voyeur, so I love it. I'll watch it.
It was definitely
sideshows that would come in and stuff. Do you still do those?
Or yes. Like this?
Oh, and the butterflies, before you get on, you're waiting in line.
Certified freak, 7 days a week.
Yo, what up, body shoppers? It's Joe Smino here with
Mary Lou.
And
Miss Ann.
Miss Ann.
Miss Ann, yeah.
Ann is in the house today.
I see we got Ricky in the house, Brianna, Don. That's it. But 13 watching. Oh, Brad. I feel like I've seen Brad way too much this week.
Oh, Dan, how are you?
Frankie. Wow. They are filing in.
Yes.
Dana.
Here they are, Merce sausage.
Sausage at the tables. Wait, Brad, did you and Mike talk yet? Brad. Was I smiling a lot the last 2 days? What's up, his King Turtle? Wow.
Woo.
No, it's not a haircut. It's
it's a ponytail.
Oh, hello, David Bell. First time watcher, maybe? I don't know. We got some newbies. JP, what's up? What's up, JP? So here's what's funny is when I'm pulling my hair back, I've had people say, "Oh yeah, I like how your hair back like that." To me, it looks like when my hair was short. So shouldn't I just go back to short hair?
No, because when your hair was crew cut short,
Frankie.
it was way more defined. This has got like a nice flow back. Though when you do take your ponytail out, you do have that feather, that Farrah Fawcett feathered look.
It gives you more versatility with your hair. Like you can do a lot, more variety of looks.
You are talking to a person who literally had the same hairstyle for 30 years. And you're suggesting that now, after having long hair for the last few months, that I have plenty of things to do with it?
Yes, there's lots of options now.
Oh, Dan, I am so sorry.
Oh, Dan, damn. That's, but I get the same thing. It's like, oh, wow, your hair's getting really gray. I mean, why don't you just say, hey, you're getting really fat? It's like,
There's nothing wrong with being fat.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being fat, but I don't think that most people, that's the thing you want to hear when you see somebody for the first time in a long time. Like, hey, Johnny, how you doing? Pretty good. Boy, it looks like you got a little fat. I don't think so.
No.
Don Johnson hairdo. Boy, I don't remember. What did his hair look like? I don't remember Don Johnson's hair.
Long, feathered, Farrah Fawcett blonde.
So in other words, the old 80s haircut.
Yes.
Got it.
Oh my
God. So Brad, in the chat here, Brad's pretty much been here all week already. Him and what can you say? Part of the couch crew was here yesterday.
Yeah.
Bob's not going to be here because he's at his 2 graduation parties, I think, today.
I think that was Monday because I was here yesterday and I didn't see them.
No, he said he's got one, I think, every night this week.
No, I meant that when he was here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, he was here today. You missed him.
Yeah, he was early.
Oh,
thanks, Queso. What's up? Anyway, so we actually Mike and Brad. We've been trying to connect Mike and Brad for for a while.
Yeah, for a hot
No,
minute.
you were here yesterday, Brad.
I think he
Anyway.
meant Bob.
Oh,
As in
yeah,
what days Bob was here, yeah.
got it.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually kind of have a semi-surprise for everybody here, since we have a whopping 21 viewers. Woohoo!
Well, wait a minute. Before you say anything, who listens to a lot of podcasts? You know, do we have anyone who has a particular podcast that they're just crazy about?
Well, they watch the vlog every week.
Yeah, they do.
Queso says they like semen.
Oh my god.
Like this. Oh my gosh. I'm a slave driver. Oh my gosh. Please.
I went and got food today.
Yeah. Oh, John's on the road working. Wow. I know what you said. I was kidding. Queso. Semis. Anyway, so interesting story. So obviously most of you or some of you know about safersex.com. Mary Lou and I started it a few months ago. And in the course of putting it together, searching for articles and things like that, interesting information to put on the website. And we stumbled across a specific article by a couple who is in the lifestyle, and they also have a podcast. So we put their content on the site, and it was actually kind of interesting. We got an email from one of them, and they were interested in talking about collaborating potentially with safersex.com. And then we actually talked yesterday. We did a virtual meeting and got to know each other a little bit and learned some interesting things and about their podcast and some of the other projects and stuff that they're working on.
Yeah.
Come to find out, they're going to Naughty in New Orleans also this coming July. So we're, of course, going to see each other there. And so anyway, we're going to bring them on. We're going to bring on Marina and Tristan from accidentalswingers.com. They also have a podcast. And let's jump these guys in real quick. Hey, guys. Uh-oh.
We are muted.
There you go.
Let me make sure we're not
We
muted.
are no longer muted.
Such a rookie mistake.
I know,
that
right?
is.
Listen, if you only knew, I would say about 6 out of 10 live streams, we have some sort of technical difficulty at the very beginning of the stream, like somebody's video's not working, the audio, I look like a pirate.
Yeah. Self-muting ought not be categorized as a technical difficulty, though. That's just user error.
That's all on me. I was being respectful of not having you guys having to listen to us chat, and then that happens. How
That's
are
okay.
you? Nice to see you.
We're doing good. Good. We're excited to have you on the stream. We actually don't do a lot of guests on the live stream.
Yeah.
We've done probably a dozen or so over the 2 years we've been doing this. So you guys are in a very small group of people on the live stream.
Elite category, then.
Yes.
I feel very, very
I don't know about elite. Let's not get crazy.
Well, we're going with elite.
No, I'm going with
we're
elite.
going with elite. Yeah.
Okay.
We're imposing elite status.
Yeah.
It's tough to find people to come on the live stream. Like, not these goofballs. Forget it. They watch one live stream, especially if they watch the one from 2 weeks ago. I would not blame anybody for never coming on the live stream.
So maybe it wasn't a bad thing that we didn't see that one yet.
Probably.
Right. Okay.
Probably. That was the poop episode we were talking about. Oh, there it goes. I said it already.
Here we go.
Yeah.
So I need to drink now, apparently, from what.
And it starts.
All right. Well, I only have water. It's not as exciting, but
Same.
it's all right. But I'll still play along. And let it never be said that Marina wouldn't play along. So
I would never ever say that.
I don't have to keep my reputation back.
That's right.
So we talked a little bit yesterday, and if I asked these questions yesterday, I apologize. I don't remember. I have a terrible memory. Especially like yesterday was such a crazy day. I felt terrible. I have to confess. I unintentionally blew these guys off twice yesterday. We were supposed to, I think it was at noon originally. We were supposed to talk, and it was like almost 1 o'clock, and I realized I'm like, holy shit, we completely missed our meeting. And then we set it up for at 2:30, and it was like 2:35 when I came in. I was like,
well, worse yet is that I'm the anal one. So I'm the one that's got all the little notifications on my cell phone, on my watch, on, you know, everything and anything. And for some reason, the memo that he sent me switched the time, and it said that it wasn't until 4 o'clock. So I wasn't thinking anything of it. And then all of a sudden when he looks at me, he's like, oh my God, we're missing the call. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You rescheduled it for 4. And he's like, no. I'm like,
Queso says Queso unintentionally blew the accidental swingers.
You would not believe the things that happened to us accidentally, which is why it made it into our name. So you know what? Congratulations. You may be the first on that one. But
actually, if only I had $1 for every time I was unintentionally blown.
Yeah,
so.
You'd have like $1.
Yeah.
I am
better on the front
It
end.
did. It was going great until you really realized, oh wait, it hasn't happened. Well, until now.
Wait, does unintentionally getting blown happen only in a glory hole?
Well, that's
No,
pretty
it's gotta be
intentional.
intentional.
No,
Yeah, you got to stick your dick through there. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's
intent.
forethought.
There's
Yeah.
intent there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It may not be very well informed consent, but that's their intent.
Well,
that's
true.
intent,
Yeah.
So give us a little bit of background about you two. If you can talk about how long you've been together or been, married, and what prompted you to join the lifestyle or participate. I'm sure you've told the story 732 times.
It's okay. We'll give you the short version, and then anybody who wants to hear the long versions can listen to the podcast. But well, we've been together for going on 30 years now.
It's been 30 years.
30
in March.
years.
Wow.
Yep, that we've been together as a couple. The first 26 of those years were in a monogamous relationship. And so we had always talked about kind of going to one of those, fancy resorts where people get to have sex with other people, and wouldn't that be fun, and how, exciting. And it actually, way back in the day.
Wait. Hold on. How did you hear about a fancy resort where people get to have sex with other people?
Well, see,
HBO Real Sex.
I was just going to say, real sex.
Back in the 90s.
That's what I was just going to say. I'm going to date myself now.
We're that old. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And actually it's really somebody on Instagram reached out to me and said, oh my God, I used to produce HBO Real Sex. And I'm like, well, hey, okay, there you go. Don't do it anymore. It was a great show.
It was.
Yeah. If anybody watched it, HBO Real Sex was really, really good. And you can't find the replays on. But anyways, they talked about a resort. I don't even remember what it was. I don't remember if it was Hito or if it was Desire.
Yeah, I'm thinking Hito.
Yeah. So anyways, so that kind of prompted our interest. And there was always I'll have to lose 25 pounds first, or, we had kids, the kids were little, wait till the kids grow up, and just nothing ever really came from it. And then 4 years ago, we live in our neighborhood. We're here in the Tampa, Florida area. And little did we know that our neighbors that we'd been friends with for a couple of years were in the lifestyle. And they thought we would be excellent candidates for the lifestyle. We had no idea that they thought that we would be excellent candidates. Matter of fact, we had no idea. They were the typical, there's no way they're swingers couple. Like, there's no way those people are
like
swingers.
Even looking back on it now, when I look at them, like, there's no fucking way.
There's no way. They've been in the lifestyle for like 10 years. And so we didn't know that. And we all went out to dinner. And the short story is that things kind of got, down and dirty. And the subject came up and they said, this is what we do. And we said, we've actually always been interested. And that sounds like it would be an interesting thing to do. And so we had about a 3-week time period between where the date that's kind of started it all to the actual play date was, because there was some out of town. We couldn't get dinner and stuff together. And so Tristan and I, in that 3-week period, really talked a lot about, do we really want to move forward with this? What does this look like in our marriage? What does this look like for our relationship? And we actually listened to a couple of podcasts that really helped us We listened to We Got a Thing with Mr. and missus
Mhm.
Jones, who were our age. They're a little bit older than we are at the time. They were just a little bit older, but very similar, professionals with kids. And so it just was really a great thing for us to stumble across this podcast where we could relate so easily to this
Right.
couple. And so, so we decided to move forward with the play date, and we had our play date with our neighbors, and it went horribly, horribly wrong. It was just awful, terrible. You could not have asked for a worse first play date. They left the hotel, and we looked at each other and said, "That was awful. Let's do it again, but better."
we knew that we were all in. Just we wanted to do it a better way.
Yeah.
But
Are you able to share a couple of details about what went wrong?
Sure. Yeah. And actually we do talk about it in the podcast. And so in the podcast, we never mention names of anybody, obviously, and we change places if we need to and things like that. But they they were experienced and we were not.
Yeah.
And so, and there was in that time frame, that 3-week time frame, some of the connection between Tristan and the wife had kind of subsided.
We realized that the initial connection was really fueled by alcohol on her part and not necessarily attraction to me. Although there was still some of that there, but when we actually got together, for the play date, it just wasn't the same.
Yeah. And so
we talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Alcohol being involved and people being a little more amorous or a lot more amorous when they're drinking, and then not when they're or no interest when they're not drunk.
Yeah.
Right. And it really was kind of a comedy of errors. She wasn't feeling well also, and we had said we can reschedule, and they said no. And so then we said, well, this can do another time, and they said no, this is perfect. And so we were like, okay, I kept giving them all these outs and things like that, and I had listened to the podcast, so I knew all the important questions to talk about and to share, so I'm at my old list, like, so we're going to run down the list of the things that we, what do you like, what do you like, what do we do, what do whatever. And so we got to the part of like, what do you guys like?
Yeah, what's play going to actually look like?
What does play look like? So there we are in the hotel room getting ready to get naked. And they knew this was our, first time. Oops, you disappeared, babe. And so
It's magic.
I know it is. He's magic that way. So anyway, so they looked at us and they said, well, and she says, well, I love flogging and I want to try fire play and all this stuff. And we were like, what the fuck is that? Like, we didn't know anything. And so we knew that she was talking about very BDSM-y, kinky kind of stuff at the time. That's all we really knew. And we were like, we don't know anything about that. And that's not who we are at the time. And he said, we're new at this, and this doesn't sound like it's going to be great, and they said, no, let's keep going. Let's go forth and go do this. And so we said, okay. And they brought a whole bunch of toys and stuff with them. And so it ended up being this really crazy, toy play date. And it was so not what we were prepared for. And it was
180 degrees away from what we typically did, which was just, the two of us in a loving, sort of way. And then here they showed up with a big duffel bag full of toys. And then
literally the duffel bag was vibrating as they walked in the door because she hadn't turned something off.
The Ass Master 3000 showed up.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, pretty close to it.
There was a Hitachi Magic Wand, a plug-in variety, like the industrial
Old
brand.
school. Huh?
So this is what happened.
No batteries dying on this one.
So they plug it in. I don't know anything about what this thing even does.
Well, hang on.
Right?
So we gave them all these outs, and we said, what? It sounds like you guys are way more advanced than we are. This is our first time doing this, and so if you guys want to, maybe this isn't the best thing to do. And they said no. And actually, she's
said, like,
nope,
let's do it.
She turned to me. She did this with her hands and said, nope, let's go. She came to me. I started undoing my shirt, took my clothes off, and I'm like, all right, I'm in.
So it was a lot of mixed signals.
A lot of mixed signals.
And so so they bring out all these toys and things, and we had no idea. And it was totally one of those things where she says, "Oh, try the magic wand on Marina," and I'm like, I don't even know what that is. So plug that sucker in, and the lights dim when he turns it on. The whole hotel has a mini brownout, and he puts that thing
Clearly, it's had a lot of use.
I think she said she burned through 2 of them already. This was like number 3.
Oh
And
my.
so they put that thing on me, and my mind is going, I don't know that I'm going to like this. And then as soon as it touched me, my eyes rolled in the back of my head. I'm practically clawing to the ceiling, and just my body is like, oh, hell yeah, bring it on. But my brain was like, I'm still not really sure, but my body's like, yes.
Shut up, brain.
Yeah. So that's how the whole thing, it was like this total crazy mix of emotions and sensations and feelings, and it just was awkward and weird. And it in hindsight, I don't know that anybody should ever really have a first time play date with a brand new couple that is that
it was not
intense.
it was not a good beginner's entry into the lifestyle, and we would never ever shepherd somebody in that way. But obviously we saw enough there that when they left, we sat naked on the bed in the hotel, and right then and there created our first SLS profile, because we're like, oh fuck yeah, we're all in on this. That sucked, but let's do it differently and better next time with the right couple and the right circumstances.
Not to pick on them, but I don't know how much experience they had in the lifestyle, but you're saying they were pretty well seasoned. But it sounds like, based on what you're describing, that they maybe didn't share some of the same values you do in terms of negotiating up front and going. I mean, it seems like you guys were trying to go down that road, but maybe they just were not interested in participating in that.
Right. And I think that I think that's a very accurate description. And it's unfortunate, but again, obviously it turned out well for us, and it launched this whole thing. And part of what's a little bit different about our podcast is, for the first couple of years that we were in the lifestyle, we actually recorded ourselves talking about what we were going through. So we literally sat in that bed naked doing that SLS profile, and we recorded ourselves we wanted to remember everything about how horrible it was, it was hysterically funny in places. We wanted to remember everything. So we literally just sat down and recorded that
with our iPhones.
Yeah, with our phones.
Eating popcorn.
It's not good audio.
Yeah, no, it's not good.
But then we just decided to keep doing that as our own kind of audio journal. And then about 2 years into the lifestyle, we realized we have all this audio that you can, like, you hear us talking about how awful it was or how amazing it was or whatever the different experiences were. And we're talking about it in real time. And that is something that not a lot of people ever get on a podcast, because you don't do that in real time. You're doing it years down the road. And so we realized that we really had something that people might want to hear, how we worked through we fuck up a lot. We still do. We talk about everything being accidental. We're not great at it. We worked really hard at our post communication. We worked really hard at making sure that when we did screw up, we talked about it then and there. And we actually do that on these recordings, because a lot of times they're 2 or 3 in the morning. We're literally on our way home from whatever it was we were doing. And so in the podcast now, we go through and we listen to those clips. So it follows us along chronologically through our journey, and things that we thought we would never do. Like at the time, kink and BDSM were totally off the table. We were like, we don't know anything about it. We don't want to know. That's just horrible and awful. And who would do that? Until, of course, then you start to learn about it, and then you start to appreciate, and then you start to understand, and you open yourself up a little bit. So, but in our podcast, we were, following that along. So that's actually just happening for us now in our story, is where we met a man who we knew was on the dark side, on the kinky side. And we decided to see if he could explain some of that to us. And so like that part of our journey is just happening now in the podcast. And that was a couple of years ago. So, so it's really kind of fun and interesting to have something a little bit different, and for people to be able to hear us talking about it. Like there's one episode which will be coming up in a couple of months where we're going to our very first house party. We started off with dates and meet and greets, and I was terrified to go to this house party. I'd just never been and had no idea what it was like. We'd been to 1 or 2 clubs, I think, at that point in time, and just didn't know. And I was so nervous, and we recorded on the way there. And so you can hear how terrified we were. And then on the way back, how it wasn't so terrifying. And we made up for it being a little bit scary.
Yeah.
It worked out rather well for me. And so, yeah. So that's it's just a little bit different about how the podcast for us works, but it really.
I think the point is it's very raw and authentic because we are, interspersing our actual recordings that we did on our iPhones. And it's not always great audio. We understand that, but it's real. And so we're able to use that as a scaffolding for, to build this podcast around, to build our story around and intersperse those things. And so it's not like, I think one of the best compliments we've ever gotten about our podcast is somebody said to us, somebody in the industry said to us, all these other podcasts are like letters to Penthouse and they only hear the really awesome shit. You guys about everything. And it's real time, raw, authentic. This is what happened. And yeah, it wasn't always great. And so
it still isn't always
great. We're real people. We're real people.
But I think that's a misnomer for a lot of people outside of the lifestyle that don't participate for whatever reason, a myriad of reasons, that they think that because you're in the lifestyle, that fixes all the other woes in your relationship or fixes, even your sex life, and the truth of the matter is that maybe in some ways it complicates it a little bit more because you've got all these extra things that you have to manage, outside of your relationship.
Right.
So yeah, that can cause stress and stuff like that. Even so much more than in a vanilla relationship. I know we categorize vanilla versus lifestyle.
Right.
Well, and Queso has a quick question here. They wanted to know, at what point did you realize you were no longer the newbies or not, and were being looked at as those to be followed or mentors?
That's a good question. I think that when we started the podcast, we decided to start the podcast. We didn't tell anybody about the podcast. This is not something you normally tell friends and family about unless they're in the lifestyle. And we just felt like we had something to share that wasn't what everybody else could hear. In other words, we had this opportunity to be able to share us going through this at that time. And so what a wonderful opportunity that was. And so, excuse me. So I think about that, the kind of at that 2-year mark where we started to actually talk about it, but you'll hear us even on the podcast is that we're still like, and we still will tell people we are not, don't do what we do because we do it wrong. Do what you're going to do it wrong too, though. That's the thing that we wanted to tell you. You're going to do it wrong. And so be gracious with each other when one misreads the signals and fucks up, because that's happened to us, quite a few times with both of us. And we had to talk a lot about communication, like you just said, G. Like there's a lot of, we had to really commit to ourselves that we were going to be a lot more communicative than we had been. And that's made our marriage stronger because now we don't have the time to sweep stuff under the rug as much anymore. Or, you've been together for so long, you're just like, oh, I don't want to even get into that fight. I'll just do it myself or whatever it is. But we really made sure that we didn't let any of this kind of stuff go by for any length of time. So it's really been an interesting journey. And as far as when we sometimes still don't believe that people listen to what we do, except for the podcast has made it. People are really enjoy the podcast and they enjoy hearing the stories and they enjoy hearing what we were going through. So the podcast has done very well from 2 people to a very nicely performing podcast. We're in one of the top ranking Apple podcasts. So it's really humbling. And our goal is to really just educate more people and to be almost of service to folks, to let them know, like, these are things you're going to run into. It isn't going to always be pretty, but how do you want to do that? You're going to have feelings. It will happen, And so how do you want to handle that? Do you want to say, then we're going to pull back and not see that couple anymore? Or do you say, no, we're going to explore that side, And there's a lot to it. And so it really made us reevaluate our relationship on a level we didn't even know that we were going to go to.
I think the larger answer, though, is that we are continually evolving. We're always learning. We're never going to have all the answers. We certainly don't. Nobody does. And so for us, we're just telling our story. And, you know, when were we not noobs anymore? I don't know. But, you know, it feels like we still are now, coming out of COVID. Now we're starting all over again.
Yeah, we're going to a huge party for the first time since COVID.
Really?
A huge party. Yeah. Like we've been to other parties.
Yeah, we've been to small parties, but this is like
weekend,
a 500-person party this weekend.
And then naughty.
Yeah, and then naughty. Yeah. But so the point is, I mean, are we experts? No. Is anybody an expert? No. You know, because there's no playbook for this. There's no XYZ. It can only be, you know, what works for your individual relationship and your individual couple. And, you know, some things that are perfect for us don't work for other people, and vice versa. And so, you know, maybe we're just a couple steps ahead of some of our listeners. And so they can see our mistakes. And as they're stepping into those same mistakes, which they will, as Marina mentioned, they can say, oh, I remember when Marina and Tristan had that issue. I'm going to go full speed ahead anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
somebody asked a question, and I want to hook a wagon onto that real quick. So something we've experienced in the few times that we've played with others, that there is a little bit of angst or anxiety on their part because they believe or have in their mind that we're some sort of like, you know, oh, we own a club, so we must know everything there is to know about the lifestyle, and, you know, oh, what sort of like weird sexual position move do they know, and, you know, but like
we moves. So
yeah. Well, so Queso asked, how does you guys having the podcast factor into communication with other people, and do they back out because they realize there's a potential for you to talk about your interactions on the podcast?
I don't know. So that's a great question. I love that question. And, you know, and we don't know. We're still, this is new. And because we started the podcast during COVID, and
we excuse me. Yeah, we were launching it in November and December of 2019. And so we started all of our work and everything. We literally did our first episode on March 30th because we had a few weeks to kill.
Yeah.
You know, we all have a 2-week vacation coming because of COVID. So why not go ahead and launch that podcast thing while we have this 2-week vacation? And and so but I think so what happened, and to answer that question and to kind of come along with that, so we haven't had a lot of interaction with people that know that we are podcasters, but that will all change starting this weekend, as a matter of fact, because again, originally we weren't even going to tell anybody about the podcast. We weren't going to show our faces. We weren't going to do events like this. We were just going to put out a podcast that people could listen to, and maybe somebody would find it interesting. Well, a lot of people have found it interesting. And like I said, so we want to be able to make sure that anybody who needs to find us can find us. Anybody who's experiencing trouble or interest in wanting to join the lifestyle, or they're nervous about being new, we love those people to reach out to us. And so now though, what's happened is that because now we're more obviously out there, we have profiles on SDC and Cassidy for the podcast. So people recognized on our personal accounts. It didn't take long for somebody on our personal oh my God, we love your podcast. And we were like, oh, but we never show our faces. Like, how could they possibly have put the 2 and 2 together? But it didn't take long.
Right.
And
which we knew.
Yeah. And so what's happened though, I will say to whoever asked the question, is that so people have figured it out, and we know that people know, and we know that people, like at some parties, that nobody really says much to us about it, except one couple that was our first play couple, right? Our first successful,
not the one we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, our first play couple. I got a text message from him a couple months ago, and we hadn't talked to them in quite a while. And he's like, hello, how are you guys doing? It's us from episode 5. And we were like,
okay, so I was going to say, is that episode 5? Because I today just chose to pick a random episode, and that was the one that I was listening to this afternoon.
That was them. Yes, they actually reached out.
Don't let Mary Lou fool you. She scanned through the titles and she probably picked the one that she thought was the most salacious.
I don't think episode 5 was the most salacious. I will tell you
No.
that. There's a couple other ones in
Yeah.
there where, it was quite a. It's been
But I
quite a
like where your
transformation.
mind is, Mary Lou.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
That's
episode
funny.
4 is called "We Finally Fuck," and I can't remember what episode 5 is called. But
Yeah, that's about.
So was that your
Yeah.
second time, or how many times after the first one did it take to have a successful?
That was so we had a single male in between. That was
Okay.
episode 4, and then episode 5 is when we actually, so we had the MFM in episode 4, and then episode 5 was an actual successful full swap with another couple, which was
Okay.
a really amazing experience.
Right.
And that was the first time that I got to actually play with somebody for the first time, and at that point, 26 or 7 years. And
Wow.
so, yeah, it was great, and that was at our Tampa Sex Club, Eyes Wide Shut.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a lot of fun. That was a really great experience.
It
But,
was.
yeah, so
But so there are others that we've played with that do know, but no one has really said much to us.
Right.
We'll see as things continue to grow. And then like this big, there's a hotel kind of takeover thing going on this weekend that we decided to go to, kind of get ready for Naughty in New Orleans. And those folks will all know because they know, they've seen our profile. We're on the guest list through the podcast. So we'll have to report back to you guys as to how that goes.
Right.
Keep your fingers crossed. I'm hoping like nobody like treats us like the plague, because God forbid they end up on the podcast. But
we have no
we
idea.
don't talk about like if we talk about negative experiences, the only person that would ever know about it is the person that was there. Like we don't say a name, we don't say anything that would be incriminating.
Yeah, we don't give any
all.
context that can.
Yeah. And so, but we talk about the negative things that happen, but it's always from a point of if there was an issue, like say a gentleman couldn't perform and what I did about that problem. It wasn't that it was his problem. It's like, how did I handle that particular issue? What could I have done differently, better? What could we have done better that might have made it a better 4-way play? Things like that.
Right.
So it's we try never to say this person did something wrong, and if it was something that was egregious, we won't even talk about it in the podcast. Right. We would just talk about it as an aside, like we wouldn't do a video or audio from it. So
we did last summer, actually, after we got vaccinated, we did resume in the lifestyle for about 6 weeks or so, up until, and then right before Naughty, we were going to go to Naughty last year. That's when the Delta variant hit real hard, especially in New Orleans, and we just we couldn't proceed. And so, but for that 6-week period or so, we went to several house parties, and there were a couple of people that knew about us, but nobody said anything, and nobody, it wasn't really, nobody seemed concerned, but we have no idea. And so we're at a much different place now, though, a year later in our podcast, and we're much more visible. We're much more out there. We are much more popular. And so who knows? Yeah, who knows?
How many episodes do you have published now?
We have 34 episodes that have been released. 35 will be out next week. And our episodes, so if anybody's ever interested in podcasting, I actually now do this as my vanilla world job. But we did everything wrong.
And we continue
so
to do
surprising.
wrong.
Don't ever have a podcast that's longer than 30 minutes. Ours are like an hour and a half.
See, I am
He's on a
totally
consistent
against
schedule.
all rules. I am against all rules when it comes to this stuff. Like, because I think that's when the anxiety comes in. You start figuring, you think you have to do it a certain way to make it right. And the truth, I think the truth is that people will listen because you're being you. And that was, I am totally jealous of the fact that you guys recorded all of your conversations, or most, whatever, assuming all. And because that gives people an opportunity to actually see the real you, or listen to, in this case. And I think that's the gold right there. Forget about 30 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 hours. I mean, I know he's a controversial person, but Joe Rogan's a perfect example of long form. Like, fuck it, we'll go for as long as we want.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think What's interesting too about your podcast is like anyone can podcast and tell the story after the fact. The fact that you do have those clips that you can go back to, and it infers, you know, the excitement in your voices, and you can tell whether you're smiling or whether you're like, oh my God, what did I do? You know, kind of moments. You know, that's the difference. You know, people pick up on that.
I love you saying that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, it really, and I'm sure you will start to. I'm sure there will magically appear to be new podcasts where everybody's recording their information, because already people have said to us, "Oh my God, what a great idea! We're going to do the same thing," and we're like, "More power to you! Absolutely, go for it." There are so much space in this world for people to have different voices, and and I'm like, you know, whatever we can do to help you, let me know. I'm happy to help people, because I think people get so wrapped around the axle, in the sense of like, oh, you have to listen to just our podcast. Well, you're kind of silly if you think that people are only going to listen to your podcast. Only person that reads a book, they only don't read one author. Right. So it's like, they're listening to other podcasts. There's other sex podcasts out there.
How dare you read that person's book?
Right. How dare you? And so it's like, no, that would be great. And then that's more information, and that's even more normalizing it. It's more conversations about it. But we really did luck into the fact that we decided to do it that way, and then have, like I said, we were about a year and a half into the whole thing. We were like, shit, there's a lot of really good stuff here. Like he listens to most of it. He had gone back and listened to a whole bunch. He's like, there's a lot of really good information. And we thought, well, do we try this or not? We didn't know anything about podcasting. We learned everything. And it's gone very, like I said, very well, but we knew what we wanted, and we knew what the format wanted to be. And you talk about about not listening to what other people told you. And so we did kind of stick to our guns in that sense. Like we don't post regularly, which is, I'm sure people would love
rule
it.
Number one.
Rule number one, make sure you're consistent. Well, we get it out when I can get it done, because I have to edit everything. So there's a lot of work to it. And then they're longer, and we're like, we're not going to cut it short just because it says, to stop. People will stop, they'll pause, they'll go a day, and they'll pick it back up when they're ready. And that's what happens. And like you said, they seem to really love it. So, but don't follow our lead if you want to follow what all the people say to do.
That's funny, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, because I have an hour commute each way to my office every day.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so I would listen to, and I don't even know how I got into it, but about 2 years before we started in the lifestyle, I started listening to lifestyle podcasts, and I listened to Life on the Swing Set was the main one that I listened to.
Yep. Life on the Swing Set. Yeah.
It's an amazing podcast. But at some point, and it was probably, I did that for about a year. And so then a year prior to us starting, I remember pulling out of the parking space in my parking garage, and Life on the Swing Set came in, and their intro came in. And I said, why the fuck am I listening to this? This is never going to happen for me. I'm going to listen to these people having this amazing lifestyle that I'm never going to have. It's just frustrating. And why am I doing this to myself? And I stopped listening to lifestyle podcasts.
Wow.
Right then and there. And then
you manifested it.
I know.
Did you not? The universe brought it to your doorstep.
But and what was really funny was about when this all started, and I said we were going to do the play date, and I was on a trip. I was driving, and I pulled over onto a rest stop, and I thought, I wonder if there's podcasts about swinging. There have to be podcasts about swinging. So I Googled it. That's how I found the Joneses. And I listened to that podcast, and I called Tristan. I had to stop on the way. It was a long drive, and I was spending the night on the road. And I called him. I'm like, oh my God, there are these podcasts about swinging. And he's like, I know, I've been listening to them for years. And I was like, what? You've got to listen. Have you listened to this one? Because this is hot as shit. These people are off having sex with other people. It's really cool. And he's like, yeah, that's what they're all about. It's like, really?
I hadn't actually listened to We Got a Thing at that point, but yeah, that wound up being our go-to.
Yeah.
It's a great podcast. And we've met them, and they're lovely, wonderful people.
They are amazing people.
Yeah. So we definitely recommend that one. So
can you share what your absolute favorite, besides your own, what your absolute favorite podcast is that you listen to currently?
Yes, We Got a Thing. For me, it is.
Yeah, I will fully admit I don't listen to a lot of podcasts.
That's okay.
I do it. I
It's
work.
probably better. You're not poisoning the well.
Well, I listen to bits and pieces of podcasts because I work with podcasters and we put on events and things for them. So if we're having people come speak, I have to listen and see if they're going to be able to speak for us. And so I listen to chunks of podcasts, but I don't listen to actual long versions. I don't have enough. I don't have a commute. I walk from my bedroom to my, the co-op. We call it the co-op, the dining room table now. So,
and actually with COVID, I now I have started going back into my office, and so I do have that commute, but I kind of do it a little more on my own schedule now. I'm like, oh, you know what? It's okay to work from home. Nobody's gonna say anything. So like 3 days a week I do it now, and so. But
there are a lot of really good podcasts.
There are.
Yeah,
I enjoy.
We Got a Thing is good.
Yeah,
for sure.
I love their podcast.
Yeah.
I listen to the Front Porch Swingers. We're friends with Brian and Brenna, and they're amazing and awesome people. And we enjoy their podcast.
Toward Souls.
Yes,
Tori and Soul.
Yeah,
they're an interesting. Have you ever? Yeah, they're an interesting. They're a same-sex married couple who are bisexual and enjoy to bring men into their play. And they're super, super amazing ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We hung out with them at Caliente on a ladies' night a couple of months ago. Yeah. And they were in town and they asked if we could all meet up. And so we did. And they're wonderful, amazing ladies. So
their podcast, actually, they do recordings as well. We found out they record as they go. They're driving someplace to their event and they'll record themselves. I don't think they've published an episode in a while, but so when they heard ours, they were like, wow, you guys are kind of like ours, even though your recordings are like 2 years old. We still kind of have that same idea about that. So that was kind of fun too.
Our recordings are 3 years old now.
Oh God, they're 3 years old. I'm just getting older.
Yes, that is the one thing that Mary Lou and I just talked about this over the weekend. We're all seemingly around the same age, and I'll speak for myself. As I'm getting older, I'm realizing that time is definitely running out.
I know, right? It feels that way.
And I think this is, for me, when we do the live streams and just the club in general, it's not an invitation just to come and experience sex a different way. In fact, I would even suggest that doesn't even have to be a component of it. But you should just experience life as much as possible. Try as many different things as possible. You don't have to do it a second time if you don't like it, but you're only here for a short time, and it certainly, I can't believe that it's been over 2 years since the pandemic started.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It feels like it was yesterday.
We are really blessed to live in the Tampa area for the lifestyle. There is so much here. And so people listen to the podcast and they're like, holy shit, you guys were on the amazing fast track, for lifestylers, but we live in an area that's just got so much and so many people, and it's huge here, but you don't know it unless you know. And so we are really really able to experience it in a lot of different ways. One of the places, as Tristan has said, is Caliente, which is they're actually a clothing optional community. There's homes and places there, but then they've kind of shifted a little bit and they are catering more to the lifestyle. They've built playrooms. It's a wonderful resort. We go there often. We actually podcast a couple times from there, and we have actually episode 33 is an excellent episode. We don't interview many people either, G, like you I think we have 3 interviews. And this particular couple was amazing, and they are 7-year veterans in the lifestyle, but they talked about their landmines and their pitfalls that they still experience, and it's a great episode. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's an amazing episode.
That we go to Caliente and we'll watch people, and you see the 80-year-old people. I'm not kidding. The naked 80-year-old people, and they're going to the playrooms, and I'm like, that's what I want to be doing in 30
so
years.
You're saying there's a chance.
Yes. Not only we've seen it, so we're not only saying it, we know that it exists. And so that's so now I'm like, my retirement plan is to go live there until I can't function anymore, and then either hopefully I just die, or then that's when they just take me away. I don't want that is we're gonna travel the world, do all that thing, and by 75 years old, we'll go live with the naked sex people, and then hopefully that'll be it.
That sounds like a great retirement plan.
Right?
I love it.
Yeah, it's even post
And still podcast.
Yes,
Right,
of course, of course. Well, and we have so many people that write to us and say, "Oh, we're 60 and 65, and is it too late for us?" And we're like, "It is so
Oh,
not."
God, just get
We
going.
see,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the people that are in their 70s that come and do this and take advantage of this particular lifestyle, and you say you're never too old, you're not. We live it, we see it. These people are amazing. So it's just fantastic. Yeah.
And G, I'm going to circle back to something that you said about trying everything and do it once if you don't like it. I always say do it at least twice, just to make sure.
Well, yeah. You guys are actually a perfect example of that. Your first time was completely and utterly terrible,
Right,
and had
exactly.
you quit, we would not be
wouldn't know
talking
any of
today.
this now. So
Exactly.
I always say I advocate giving it 2 times, if not 3. And then,
Yeah.
and then you
I
really
agree.
know.
I agree. 100%. And even, and you listen, and actually you can keep trying it. If you want to do it, keep trying it. Just because it didn't work the first, third, or 17th time doesn't mean it won't.
Yeah.
It's person number 18 that cracks the code.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So we're going to see you guys for sure, barring any sort of like catastrophe, in July at Naughty in New Orleans. So we're really excited about that. We actually haven't been there since 2019.
That's
Yeah.
the last time we were there. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
last year.
So I'm definitely feeling naughty about getting back to Naughty.
Right? I know. We're so
So,
excited. So I
well,
know. And we can't wait to meet you guys there. What a great opportunity.
We're excited to do that.
Yes.
I'm so glad you reached out, about safersex.com, and we had a great conversation yesterday. We're really excited to, hopefully work with you guys. And we appreciate you coming on tonight and sharing your stories with everybody. We're going to do this again soon. And we'll touch on briefly. I know you've got, what you didn't say, was you didn't talk about your polyamory.
We didn't. Yeah, we didn't.
There are 2 more, correct? There are 2 more in your polycule, correct?
There are, yes. And so, well, because we haven't gotten to that point in the podcast yet. So that's no, people know. No.
Oh, okay.
If you follow us on Instagram, there's no way not to see that the 4 of us are together. And people
Tristan's
know.
like, I'll kill him.
No, oh my God, they've been hiding that secret for 2 years now. No. Oh, right. Yeah.
Queso says, way to bury the lead.
But yes, the Phoenix and Crimson, and they are the other half of our couple. We call ourselves the Poly Square. We are still all open, non-monogamous swingers. That's part of our relationship. So that's
enthusiastic, open, non-monogamous swingers.
Yes.
Nice.
So
nice.
yes, so that's going to be new for us though too. We actually met them in 2019. We live close by. We met them though in New Orleans in 2019.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
and so started our relationship there. So we'll be celebrating our 3-year anniversary when we get there. But we've all never really had a chance to have a big relationship in this style yet because COVID hit about a year into our relationship. So we're all going to be in New Orleans together. We actually we have another little project that we work on called Swinky Life. And I think we're going to come back and talk to you guys about that. And Phoenix and Crimson will be with us. And of course, you guys will meet them in New Orleans as well, because we're going to teach some workshops and things when we're at Naughty. So it'll be really fun. And we got the podcaster meet and greets and things like that. So there's lots of fun stuff going on.
I was looking over the schedule to see how many workshops you guys are doing. I'm like, whoa, you guys are packing it in there.
We
you
are
got quite a few. So
Go hard or go home, right?
Well, I think the organizer was just like, oh hell yeah, these are, because they're very different. And he's like, yep, why don't you do that one too? And we were like, okay, we're there, we might as well do it. So yeah, we're really excited.
That's
Very
great.
excited.
I think everyone needs to make up for the past 2 years anyway too.
Right.
Yeah.
So got to get it
And
all
we'll
in.
find time to play. We'll have to intersperse.
That's when you set the alarm. Okay,
Right.
I have to go teach a class in 30 minutes and go.
and I don't mind having freshly fucked hair when I go into the classes.
I think it's expected.
That'll be like, yeah,
Yeah.
you bet I was. Yeah.
You're like, hold on.
You should walk
That's
into
what brought
each
them into
class
the
all
club.
disheveled, like one sock on, your shirt on backwards.
Inside out.
Right.
And here, like, oh, like, yeah, all right, we're here to teach. I may. You never know. I'm a fly by the seat of her pants kind of girl, though.
Mhm.
So I let
Good
the
for
moments
you.
happen, and whatever happens, happens. So you never know.
Wow. Well, we're gonna take you guys out. We're gonna wrap up the show because we're just encroaching on an hour here. We're a little loosey goosey, but we got a couple of things we want to cover. But we appreciate you guys coming on tonight. It means a lot, and so quickly. I mean, I think we've known each other just over 24 hours
I
now.
think so.
Yeah.
Crazy
Fast
things
friends.
are happening.
Yes, but we clicked instantly, and I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
I'm so glad we're going to be able to meet you.
Yeah,
guys.
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
We're so excited. Very excited for you guys.
Well,
So,
thanks so much for having us.
Thank you so much.
thanks for being here, guys. We'll see you. We'll coordinate for getting you guys back on here in the next couple of weeks.
Sounds great.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Good night. Have a good night.
Thanks.
That was fun.
That was. I like them. Like I said, I just kind of went on Spotify and found their podcast and just started picking different ones and stuff. And it really was interesting to hear the clips. And like I said, how the enthusiasm and the oh my gods and did we just do that? Being in that platform of this is how couples should communicate.
Yeah.
You just got done at that party. You're like, okay, we're in the car. We got to drive home an hour, whatever it is. What did you think just happened? And you're getting that totally authentic, whew.
Yeah.
Did I just get fucked? Did you like what you saw?
Yeah,
How
but
you
I mean
feeling?
what a great way to sort of give a behind the scenes look at what really happens. And they were absolutely right. When you listen to other podcasts, it's all just a rundown of their sexual escapades, and not all, and that's not fair. I'm not poo-pooing on what they're doing. I'm just saying they're getting all the fluff and not the real substance of it. I mean, of what it really is, what it really means to be in a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about sex.
Right. Exactly. Oh, Clint, you went to the club for your first time this past weekend. I'm glad you had a great time, an amazing first time. That is awesome.
Yeah, I apologize. I know, when we get into the interview stuff, we don't get to respond to people. So, for those of you that jumped in and said hi, I apologize. I know Zoe popped in and obviously Clint and a few others. But we appreciate you guys watching. But yeah, so I'm glad this happened. We were talking a lot about the universe conspiring with you, and I know a lot of people feel like the universe conspires against them, but they're just looking in the wrong places. So anyway, Brad says their phone is dying, they're still watching on TV, and see us tomorrow. All right, Brad, thank you. Good night.
Good night, Brad.
Good night, Brad.
So, Ann, do you want to tell us what's going on this weekend?
Yeah, so Friday we are closed. So no one will be able to visit us on Friday, but that's because we want you to save all your energy for our Pride Prom, which we will be having on Saturday.
We are going to have a photographer on location for your prom photos. That actually just got put together today. So that's pretty fun.
And we are having a contest as well. We're going to name our prom king and queen, aka our prom sluts.
Oh, okay.
I will tell you the surefire way to get nominated one of those.
And the contest takes place at midnight, so everybody make sure that you're here with plenty of time to have your attire evaluated if you'd like to compete.
Oh.
Yeah, super important. Yeah, I've seen a couple of people ask questions on the news feed about what to wear or whatever. It
Mhm.
does not have to be formal attire. So,
Correct.
really the idea behind the naughty prom or pride prom is to wear the things you couldn't wear, provocative things you couldn't wear to your original prom if you went. And I know for a fact that there are some people that never went to their own prom. So
I
this
didn't.
could so this could be a first time for somebody.
Mhm.
So
Huh.
what else? I think that's about it. Do we have anything else?
No, that's it for this weekend. At least at the club.
Yeah, it was a good weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was nice. Yeah, I'm sorry if you weren't there. You missed a good time.
You're so bad sometimes about that. Just
Hey,
rubbing it in their faces.
yeah, listen, we just got done talking about life is about experiences, and we get so wrapped up in work and whatever, all the other things that we think are super important.
Mhm.
But you got to make time for yourselves.
Yeah.
And if you don't, one day you're going to be sitting there realizing, where did all the time go?
Yeah.
So
Yep, that's true. That is true.
anyway, well, we appreciate everybody stopping in tonight and watching. I know that was unexpected with the interview. We don't normally do those, but they were so fun to talk to yesterday, and we're excited to connect with them. We thought we should have them on. So
Some do, Jen. Some do. Some do. Yes.
yeah, Queso says they heard they like it when you rub it in their face. Depends on what it is. Depends on what
No,
you
that
rub in their
too.
face.
Oh, I think they're trying to get you to say that word.
Oh, rubbing the poo in your face? John, I get it.
God.
Listen, it totally makes sense. People are busy. Summertime. There's a lot of stuff going on now. We get that. But so when you can make it back, we'd love to see you. So
Yeah.
all right. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. If not, if you sat through this cast, actually, this was a pretty good one. So hopefully you'll watch this and you'll join us at the club sometime. But if you are interested, visit bodyshopclubs.com, click the apply now button, fill out your application in full. Anne is very, very strict about applications. So if you haphazardly put one together, it's very likely you'll get declined. So please take your time. And if you need a little more professional help and you would like to speak to somebody about your sexuality or maybe some issues that you're having, you can visit marylouandyou.com, speak to a board certified sexologist who also happens to be my wife and right below me, Mary Lou. I think that's about it. Anything else before we go?
Other than that, I would suggest that everyone look up on their favorite app, whether it's Spotify or iTunes, look up the Accidental Swingers and give them a listen.
Yeah,
look them up on
please do.
Instagram and give them a like and follow.
Yeah, they were super fun.
Yeah.
So, all right, folks. Well, I'm gonna hit the outro button. I promise you, no stinger this week. Mary Lou and I are gonna start banging right away. Maybe. All right, folks. Thanks for watching. We'll see you hopefully next week. If we don't see you this weekend at the club, you guys take care. Bye.
Good night, guys.
Right.
Certified freak, 7 days a week. That word is pussy good. My pull-out game weak. Ooh, yeah. I'm fucking with that wet ass. Swimming in it, baby. I'ma bring a bucket and a mop, darling. Give you everything I got. I'm falling. Yeah. I'm fucking with that wet ass. Pussy. Beat it up, catch a charge, extra large and extra hard. Put your pussy in my face. nose like a credit card. I'm gonna tell you wanna ride. Do a giggle while listen, spit in your mouth, girl, while you looking in my eyes. Your pussy is wet, I'ma take a dive. I'ma tie you up like you're a prize. Let's role play, I'll wear disguise. I'ma park my Mack truck and you can ride. Yeah. I'm fucking with that wet ass. Swimming in it, baby. Yeah. I'm fucking with that wet ass. Pussy. Gobble me, swallow me, drip it down inside of me. I gotta jump out before it gets inside of you. Tell me where to put it, but don't tell what you about to do. Talk your shit, baby, bite your lip, girl. Ask for a car while you riding that dick. Oh, I'm gonna tell you wanna ride. Do a giggle while listen, spit in your mouth, girl, while you looking in my eyes. Your pussy is wet, I'ma take a dive. I'ma tie you up like you're a prize.